It's Katrina. Number 8. Secret Sphinx doors. For centuries now, rumors have swirled about hidden doors and chambers, treasure hoards, and other suspected secrets hidden inside Egypt's Great Pyramids and the Sphinx of Giza. While some of these theories were probably inspired by tall tales, even archaeologists are interested in getting to the bottom of the various mysteries. The 4,500-year-old Sphinx made headlines in 2019 when a respected British historian named Bethany Hughes claimed that there are 2 hidden chambers beneath the monument that are worth investigating. Speaking with British papers, Hughes explained that ancient Egyptians feared and respected the Sphinx, and that they believed it had supernatural powers. At the base of the giant statue near its tail, there is a small, deep hole that's typically kept hidden from public view. It could lead to one of the large chambers that some researchers believe exist below the monument, according to Hughes. She believes that any tunnels beneath the Sphinx could lead to a nearby pyramid where the pharaoh Khufu is entombed. Stories about a subterranean network of tunnels and chambers beneath the Sphinx were once limited to conspiracy theorists, but the evidence has caught the attention of seasoned professionals, and their willingness to look further into these claims could prove to be a game changer. What do you think is hidden under the Sphinx? Anything? Let me know in the comments below. Number 7. Mysterious manuscripts. Throughout antiquity, parchment was sometimes in short supply, so people got as much use out of it as possible. Ink was even scraped from old manuscripts using chemicals or pumice stones, clearing the way for new text. These double-layered manuscripts are known as palimpsests, and their invisible lettering can teach us a lot about the ancient world. Did you know that? Palimpsests? Maybe that will come in handy for Trivial Pursuit or something. Giulia Rossetto is a researcher who specializes in ancient texts. In 2016, a colleague gave her some images of a palimpsest that he was struggling to read. The visible text contained a collection of the life stories of saints written in 10th century Arabic. Beneath it were faint traces of Greek lettering. The photos were taken using a technique called multispectral imaging, which uses light and color to help distinguish between the 2 layers of writing. This didn't make the document easy to read, but it gave Giulia a starting point for making the undertext more visible. She adjusted the lighting, contrast, and other elements of the pictures to hide the Arabic as much as possible and reveal the writing underneath it. Giulia painstakingly identified the tiny letters, which were just 3 millimeters tall, and began to recognize names from classical Greek mythology like Zeus, Persephone, and Dionysus. Based on the style of the text, she guessed that it was written in Egypt during the 5th or 6th century. Her transcription turned up no matches to known texts, indicating that it was an unknown text being viewed by modern eyes for the first time. And it's just one of hundreds of manuscripts that researchers have deciphered in recent years, thanks to technology that enables them to peer below the surface in ways that only recently became possible. What other hidden knowledge do you think can be revealed like this? Let me know your theories in the comments. Number 6. Vault B. Sri Padmanabhaswamy is one of the most revered temples dedicated to the Hindu deity Mahavishnu. It was built during the 6th century in what is now the Indian state of Kerala, and it is famous for its extravagance and gilded decor. In 2011, retired Indian Police Services officer Sundarajan petitioned the Supreme Court for an audit of the temple's treasury. He suspected that the temple was in possession of unaccounted wealth, and the court appointed a 7-member committee to investigate. Inside the temple, the committee discovered 6 large unopened vaults, or kalaras, with iron doors. They labeled the vaults A through F and managed to open all except for the innermost chamber, Vault B. The other vaults contain diamonds, gemstones, necklaces, weapons, gold coins, and other treasures with a jaw-dropping estimated value of $1 trillion. Vault B remains locked, despite the committee's best efforts to open it, leading many to believe that it's cursed. The door can supposedly only be opened by a high-ranking priest known as a sadhus, who knows a special chant called the Garuda mantra, but no modern priests know the chant, so there are evidently no plans to enter the vault, unless they want to destroy the whole thing. According to legend, a group of thieves tried to access the vault during the 1930s and were attacked by venomous snakes. The belief that opening the vault would bring bad luck became even stronger when the man who petitioned for the audit suddenly died. Auditor General Vinod Rai challenged these superstitions in 2015 when he claimed that Vault B had been opened numerous times since the 1990s without incident, but it remains closed in accordance with the wishes of devotees, temple officials, and the royal family. What do you think about this mysterious door? Let me know in the comments below. Number 5. A forgotten port city. On July 21st, 365 AD, a massive tsunami struck the coast of what is now Tunisia, wiping out most of the Roman port city of Neapolis. A soldier and historian named Ammian Marcellin wrote about the disaster, which also wreaked havoc on the Greek island of Crete, as well as the city of Alexandria in Egypt. This is one of very few mentionings of Neapolis in ancient texts. During the Third Punic War, which lasted from 149 to 146 BC, the people of Neapolis sided with Carthage rather than Rome. The Romans won the war and took control of the city, and its conspicuous absence from historical records suggests that the citizens were punished for having supported the enemy. It left modern experts with little to learn from, especially since some of the settlement's ruins are buried beneath the modern city of Naboul. Archaeologists began searching for submerged ruins in 2010, but it wasn't until 2013 that they finally found the section of Neapolis that had been sucked beneath the waves. The discovery came after a storm ravaged the seabed, revealing man-made stone structures, including street signs and monuments. The ruins revealed previously unknown details about Neapolis and its role within the empire as a major trading hub. Over 100 tanks that were used for making a fish-based fermented condiment called garum were found at the site, indicating that the city specialized in the production of the popular Roman delicacy. Based on this alone, Neapolis was undoubtedly one of the empire's wealthiest and most important commercial centers, and yet so little is known about it, since it was basically erased from the history books. Number 4. What's in the Taj Mahal basement? Shah Jahan was the 5th Mughal emperor of India, who ruled from 1628 to 1658. He brought the empire to its peak, ushering in the golden age of Mughal architecture with the commission of breathtaking monuments. His most famous building, the Taj Mahal, sits on a 42-acre plot in the modern-day Indian city of Agra. It was built in 1632 in honor of Shah Jahan's beloved wife, Mumtaz, and is the couple's final resting place. Their tombs are kept in a locked chamber in the basement and are typically off-limits to visitors. There are 2 replica burials on public display on the building's first floor. Visitors had a rare opportunity to see the real tombs firsthand on Shah Jahan's birthday in 2018. They were disappointed to find the burials in a deplorable state, blackened from years of neglect, and called on the government to restore them and make them accessible to the public. Allowing visitors to see the graves on a regular basis would hold the authorities to higher standards when it came to maintaining them. Officials were cryptic in their response to the outrage, but this is nothing new. In fact, people have voiced numerous concerns about the Taj Mahal, only to be more or less stonewalled by the government. Many suspect that the monument was built on the site of a former Hindu temple, and that the basement contains Hindu artifacts and artwork. In 2019, Parliament member Subramanian Swamy claimed that these objects had been removed from the property years earlier. He also said that he had documentation proving that the Taj Mahal was built on stolen Hindu property. It's also believed that there may be as many as 22 secret rooms beneath the building, but if they do exist, only a privileged few know about them or what's inside, and these select few are keeping silent. Number 3. Muslim influence in Spain. The early Middle Ages were marked by a series of tumultuous religious conflicts known as the Crusades. I'm sure you've heard of that already. During that period, the Iberian Peninsula served as a frontier between warring Muslims and Christians. Muslim rulers conquered the region during the early 8th century. They secured their victory by offering generous surrender terms to the population, who were fed up with the harsh conditions they endured under previous leadership. In 756 AD, the new leader, Amir Abd al-Rahman, established the Andalusian Umayyad dynasty. He delivered a newfound stability to the region that its residents had never experienced. The emperor strengthened the region by unifying the various Islamic groups that had conquered Spain, bringing an unprecedented level of power to Muslim rule. Over the next several hundred years, the area became home to one of the greatest Islamic civilizations of all time. Much of the Iberian Peninsula's rich Muslim history was forgotten after the Catholic kings Isabella and Ferdinand retook the region in 1492 and erased nearly every trace of the cultures they conquered. In 2020, archaeologists discovered an Islamic cemetery in the Spanish town of Tauste, consisting of 433 graves dating between the 8th and 12th centuries. The dead were laid to rest according to traditional Muslim burial customs. It's clear, based on the evidence, that there was a strong Islamic presence in the town for several centuries. In fact, the archaeologists who discovered the cemetery believe that there are more burials yet to be found, but the search is slow going due to limited funding. There is no mention of a Muslim population in local accounts, which proves that historical narratives are not always accurate, and they sometimes leave out major details about the past. This is why it's important to let archaeological evidence speak for itself, especially when it comes to filling in any gaps that were conveniently left out. Number 2. Malleus Maleficarum. Around 50,000 suspected witches were executed throughout Europe between 1580 and 1630, and an astounding 80% of them were women. While the deadly persecutions were at least partially rooted in superstition, mainstream Christianity had condemned the belief in witches by then, writing it off as a pagan myth. Yet something managed to revive it on a massive scale, leading to widespread torture and execution. This sudden uptick in witch paranoia may have been encouraged by a book called the Malleus Maleficarum, or the Hammer of Witches. It's the handiwork of a Catholic clergyman named Heinrich Kramer, who encouraged leaders to treat witchcraft as a crime, torture suspects into confessing, and impose the death penalty on those who were considered beyond hope. The book was first published in the German city of Speyer in 1486. Its influence spread like wildfire, despite the fact that high-ranking members of the Inquisition discouraged its use, arguing that it encouraged unethical and illegal treatment and ran contrary to Catholic doctrines of demonology. Royal courts of the Renaissance treated the Hammer of Witches as a guidebook on how to treat suspects, and these methods became increasingly brutal during the 16th and 17th centuries. Kramer certainly wasn't the first writer to encourage witch hysteria in medieval Europe, but he was arguably the most influential. Before he wrote the book, he had tried unsuccessfully to prosecute alleged witches in the city of Innsbruck. A local bishop asked Kramer to leave the area after noticing the man's obsession with an accused witch's sexual habits. The suspect was acquitted. Many believe that Kramer wrote the Malleus Maleficarum to get revenge on those involved in his failed witch trial. After all, even if he believed that witchcraft was real, his motives seemed personal, and it led to the unspeakable suffering and deaths of tens of thousands of innocent victims. Number 1. King Solomon's Treasure. Israel's third king, Solomon, reigned from 965 to 925 BC. He was one of the richest men of all time, profiting immensely from the gold trade and other commerce, as well as taxes and tributes that he collected from his subjects. The empire prospered under Solomon's leadership, which saw the construction of magnificent palaces and fortresses. According to the Bible, the king accumulated vast treasure, including more than 500 tons of pure gold, a 3,000-year-old gilded box, musical instruments made from gold, precious stones, ornaments from the Garden of Eden, and the famed gilded chest known as the Ark of the Covenant. These items vanished when the Babylonians sacked Solomon's temple in 597 and 586 BC. Countless people have searched for the items, including both experts and civilians, but not a single trace of the items in the collection has turned up. A story written during biblical times called the Treatise of the Vessels claims that Solomon's treasures were stashed in various hiding places throughout the Middle East, but the tale is a fictional piece that was written merely for entertainment, according to Professor James Davila, who translated the text in 2014. Archaeologists can't seem to agree on whether the treasure was stolen, hidden, or destroyed, or if it ever existed in the first place. British historian Ralph Ellis spent 20 years researching the topic and concluded that the story was misinterpreted. He believes that Solomon was an Egyptian pharaoh and that his alleged hidden wealth never existed. Ellis conceded that there's likely a morsel of truth to the tale, and that Solomon probably was incredibly rich. But it's hard to believe that the king stashed his riches and not a single item has ever been found, especially considering how thoroughly people have searched for the goods. What do you think? Were the stories of King Solomon's riches true or a myth? Let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye!